Still the Place with Laura Layton,
Courtney Thorne-Smith,
and Daphne Zuniga, an iHeartRadio podcast.
We are so excited to have Thomas here.
Ta-da!
God, you're a bunch of phonies. Stop it.
Thomas Calabro is in the house.
AKA Michael Mancini.
All right, I have to share something adorable before we start. I signed in after Thomas, and when Thomas wrote the sign-in sheet, it said, "Why are you here?" And he wrote, "For fun."
Yes, well, we
Isn't that the
hope
sweetest?
that we don't wreck it for you.
Okay, good.
That was his objective. We'll see.
I hope not. We won't bring up too many bad memories then. Okay.
If any memories
If you have
at
any,
all.
we'll be grateful. We're grateful for any memories at this point.
Because we're finding that it wasn't meant to be a memory test. It was really meant to be like going down memory lane.
Right.
But it's turned into be a memory test for all of us.
Well, because of the age
Not
that
on
we all
purpose.
are. But what we did do for you, which I don't think we did as much for the others, is we asked fans for their questions.
Get out of here. Right?
Yeah, and they went
Loaded and
crazy.
ready to go.
There's a lot of questions.
You're like Thomas.
No, but
Didn't
there's a
hang out with
ton.
him a lot. We don't really know anything
There's a
about
ton.
him. We better get questions from
We're
someone
gonna-
else.
ton of
But
questions,
we're going to
but we've-
find out everything about you.
Yeah, we
But
first
then-
want to know the what we ask everyone, which
What?
is kind
The
of the
audition
beginning,
question.
the audition
All right,
question.
I listened to a few.
That kind of, okay, good.
So for me, it was my 15th network test after my first series, which was 2 years previous,
Which was?
which was Dream Street. So you remember 30-something?
Yes.
The same executive producers, Ed Zwick and Marshall Herkowitz.
Wow. So you had
I said
very high
Herkowitz because I forgot his last
expectations.
name exactly, so that's why I fumbled that.
Nicely
Anyway, so I was on the map and I was going back and forth. I was doing a lot of directing in New York, but I was running out of money directing and doing plays for nothing there and producing. And so I kept flying back and forth. And then they wanted me to go to network for this show, for what's the show we are on? Melrose Place. And I booked a commercial. And I literally said, I won't do it. I have to do the commercial because that's guaranteed. National network going to make me $30K for at least, so I'm not going. And then they said, well, we'll pick you up at lunch and bring you out. They did. And I remember at that year, they were doing a lot of musical shows. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember
it was
that.
You remember because some movie was popular with musical instruments. Anyway, I was walking down I think it was in Aaron Spelling's. And I walked by everybody waiting to audition, walked right into the room, read, left, and found out later on the shoot that they booked me. Yeah, that's how that went down.
While
Yeah.
you were shooting the commercial, you found out.
Yeah, I went back to finish shooting, and yeah, that's when my agent called me.
But you didn't have to do song and dance. Sounds like it wasn't like part of the.
I did no singing and dancing.
Okay.
No, not at that time.
But you had a scene they had you read. Usually.
Yeah, I don't remember what the heck
no,
it
I
was.
know.
Did they have you read with Josie?
Nope.
Really?
Anyone?
No. Susan Edelman, I think it was, right? She was our casting
Casting
director.
person.
Oh, so you
'Cause I
never
re-
got mixed and matched with anybody?
No, never. And here's the thing. When Susan called me to audition for Michael Mancini and I read the script, I went, I want to do that Billy role. And she went, shut up, you're too old.
said,
You're going to be
"Ouch."
playing Michael. Yeah, so that's how I ended up reading for Michael Mancini, who was pretty boring the first year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Plus,
Isn't it
guys,
funny?
I'm
Maybe
way
the first
older than
year.
all y'all.
Yeah.
Only the first year.
Because I was 33 and Joe was 20. So you're talking to Grant about like Jenny and that, age
Yeah,
difference
yeah.
and how inappropriate it was. I think we were more inappropriate,
Yeah.
but no one knew.
Well, she was legal, though. At least she was legal.
At least she
Yeah.
was 21.
Right, she was out of high school.
I thought Jen was legal. Okay.
In real life, she was, but
just
her
barely.
character.
But you're
Oh,
right.
right,
You
high
are
school.
old.
Exactly,
You
yeah.
are the oldest
I
of all of
am.
us.
One of
so.
the things we noticed in watching the early episodes that's hilarious is that Josie's constantly trying to get you to pay attention to her and make out with her. And you're like, oh, I'm too busy. We're like, have you seen her? Do you remember that?
Look, Josie Bissett, most beautiful woman ever to walk
Absolutely.
into a makeup trailer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Didn't need even to
Yeah,
go
I
in
know.
there.
Didn't need to do anything.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Joe was.
Did
that
that
ever
ever
feel
feel
weird
weird
to
to
you?
you?
But
Did
Michael
you ever-
Mancini
did you
like
ever
found
say
ways to
anything?
avoid her all the time.
Sorry. We got
He's like,
three
there's
gals.
too many
with-
women.
One question at a time.
Go ahead, you start.
Did you notice that she was in the
Gorgeous.
writing that you never gave her enough attention? We're on episode 8 or 9 now, and like you're barely giving her attention because she's about to have a baby.
No,
Did you ever
I
notice
didn't
it?
because
Yeah.
I always, I fall in love with my character and then I make everything he does the best thing he can do.
Yeah.
And he was doing the best he could given his schedule as a medical student.
Yeah.
I mean, that was our arc for the first season.
Yeah.
Right? Basically, I'm too busy to pay attention to the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did someone else have an
Next.
overlapping question? I didn't get to?
No, it was just then. No, that was it. And then, do you remember when it changed?
Yes. Doesn't everybody know when it changed? I think it was pretty clear to me that the whole show changed when they brought Heather in.
Yeah.
We went from kind of soap opera-ish, kind of real life, to over the edge.
Well, it was
And that was
very
Heather.
sweet. Watching the first episodes, like we talk a lot about the structure, it was a very traditional structure. There were two sort of related storylines, but it really was 8 nice kids trying to make it.
Yeah. For
Every
sure.
single script. So it was maybe the first 13.
Marcia did a guest star as your co-worker on 13. I came in 15. Heather came after that. But my question to
Right.
your question is, do you remember just playing it? Was it like a sudden thing, or was it subtle? These changes, kind of like, because I know you had an affair with the Kimberly and all that, but
Yeah.
in season 1,
7 marriages, 5 women.
no, you crammed a lot
Yeah,
in.
twice with Joe and twice with Laura.
That's hysterical.
Did you have 7 marriages on the show?
That's right. Yep.
I didn't know that.
I love it.
We have a
And
new
then who knows
count.
what happened to the
that.
Playboy bunny on the last episode.
Well, there. Oh my God.
That could have gone
That
anywhere.
we're so far away from.
So here, let me tell you though, I think it's pretty interesting is that Marcia and I, at the end of 13, or when she first came on, the end of the first season, we decided to make a choice when we were working on a scene together where I was explaining my marital problems to her. She was my confidant, at work. And we decided to do a couple of takes flirtatiously. I found out later the producers picked up on that, but the network didn't want to go with that. Right? So they didn't take those, they didn't air those choices. But we thought it would be fun, and we thought maybe could go somewhere. But because we were the staid couple, everybody looked up to it and went to it for advice, and the network said, no, we can't do that. And then the next season they changed their mind, and that was the first affair.
Interesting, because that was right around 13, which is the original order. So there was an order for 13 episodes that at some point they weren't, you guys were waiting. I wasn't there, but so I hear.
Oh,
you
that's
guys
right.
were waiting for your pickup for the back 9.
We went later. We went more than 13, though.
But
Yeah,
with
we ended up
Marcia's-
finishing out the season because I
Yeah.
planned a marriage that I had to delay
Right.
with Liz until afterwards because they added
Because
all
A real
these extra
marriage.
episodes.
you got the new episodes.
Oh yes,
yeah.
the real. Yeah.
And then, so Marcia's character, Kimberly, came in at around 13. And then I think that's tonally when the whole show started to have that sort of gradual
that
shift.
also-
But it's so interesting that you triggered that specifically with that storyline.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I think they saw the potential. I think it was a better match for all the talents, to do that. Obviously, it was right because it turned out to be great for all of us.
Yeah.
I just think it fit better. I
Yeah.
think they were going for something, but it wasn't quite
Yeah.
working right. We were low rated. I mean, we weren't doing great. And then Heather comes on. That's because of her history in business. She brought that with her, and we kind of
to me,
we all
yeah.
we all jumped on the same train.
Yeah, well, because the writers made this new train because they saw
Yeah.
what was happening with the ratings. And even before Heather came on, I know Amy left, and then you started to change, and and then she came on and just took it off. I think it was really smart of the writers, obviously.
Yeah.
But I was just curious because I looked ahead a little bit, and I saw, you and Marcia. It was later, it was in the 20s, in the episodes. So you guys were already bad because Heather came in 19.
I think that's when I come in.
You come in 19.
You
Heather
came in 19, but Heather was
So-
already with us, right?
I don't think so. I think so. I came in for 19 and 20, and my character was stirring it up a little bit too,
Yeah.
planting that seed,
because of the sister.
yeah,
thing.
and then I didn't stay, but right after is when Heather comes.
Yeah.
And that sort of that tonal shift kind of was there
Yeah.
to stay.
So it was during the first season.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah,
halfway through
for
the
sure.
first season, it was like a
21.
gradual working in,
Yeah.
and then they brought in this ultra villain. I think they really felt like the show needed a villain, and it was Heather.
So if they brought Heather in 21. We ended up doing 33 that first season. So they must have known, and they started shifting because you brought in an edgier
Yeah,
energy,
New
then you
York.
brought in different energy. So
Yeah.
we were already sort of moving in that direction.
So I guess what we're saying We love you and your memory, but it's a little off.
Oh, sure it is.
What we remember
This is
is
exactly
just,
what was on my mind.
we
I totally
actually-
don't remember anything.
We didn't bring you in to correct you.
actually,
But it made a
we
good story.
remember you being part of the engine of the new train. You, yes, Heather came on, but the train was always already moving in a new direction, and that was you, Thomas.
I'm not sure when it showed up at the station, but you're right.
Anyway,
So I think I know the answer to this. Was it more fun to play Michael, good guy, working his hardest, or Michael, bad guy, never knew what he was going to do?
Question I've been asked no less than 5 million times.
But this
my
is the
answer-
one, tell the truth
And
this
you know
time.
the answer. No, the answer is this. Would you rather be a reactive character or an
Yes,
active?
totally.
And it's as simple as that.
Yeah,
you
bad
know?
guys are fun. Yeah.
Instead of getting slapped across the face, I'd rather do the slapping.
Yeah.
So do you have any, again, not a memory test, do you have any favorite storylines or like favorite eras of what Michael did?
Yeah, that's a good question
do.
too. One I've been asked, and the first thing that comes up is you, me, and Jack at
Yep.
that.
So fun.
I forgot the damn name of it, but you know what I'm talking about.
There was an office. It was a
Something
medical
Burns,
office.
Mancini
yeah, Mancini
Burns.
Burns.
Yeah,
That makes
and
sense.
you were the receptionist.
yes, that
Lots
was
of
so good.
shenanigans there.
That was good.
Super fun
So that
times.
was one thing. Breaking up with Marsha was always fun to do because I was just so abusive. It's terrible, just terrible.
Everyone.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I never had an unfun day at work. I always
really?
loved it. Oh, it was always an absolute pleasure. I'll never forget Josie, like season 2 or 3. She's like, "Oh, thank God, I only have 2 scenes this episode." And you guys are right. She, like every close up on the end of the day, she had all her own clothes on. Ready to dash out the door every time. I'm so surprised she didn't say, "Can you just do this without me, Thomas?"
Yeah.
But I really tried to embrace everything they gave me, no matter how crazy preposterous it was.
Because your background is theater. You came from New York. You're living in New York. You did theater. You directed, I think, theater.
Yep.
I know that you went to Fordham. You understudied Denzel Washington. You did Shakespeare. And I remember this part of you. So I remember. Then you come to here and you're on this hit show, and it's like the opposite of Shakespeare or a play. I mean, actually, it's kind of pop Shakespeare. Actually,
pop
It's
Shakespeare,
kind of is sort of like an Iago.
Yeah, he did write every
structure.
scene 3 times, and we did the same scene over and
Yes,
over.
yes, over and over. I'm just wondering what that was like, and for you as an actor.
It's this thing. I don't think of it that way. Like I said, I fall in love with every script I read that I'm going to do, and I fell in love with this. And we had such a great situation. The fact that we're all sitting down and laughing about what we did 30 years ago. It was the cast, the crew. I mean, it was golden. It took me a while to get used to the business, and Courtney knows this better than anybody. I was not good to be around when we were doing publicity. I thought it was stupid and miserable. Who needs this? Work speaks for itself, because I was an actor from the theater in New York.
Yeah.
Not an unusual,
Yeah.
pattern there.
Right.
But once, I think it was about the second year, I thought, what are you doing, Calabro? You love doing this show, and you're making it harder for you to continue doing it, because spelling's going to blow you out of here. Remember, he wanted us all to say happy birthday to the Japanese emperor woman or somebody. And I was like, I'm not doing that. And I never forget it. The whole crew came over and surrounded me and said, "Thomas, we want you to stay on the show. So will you go please do that?" And it started getting me thinking, what am I doing? Say happy birthday. Who cares if you know him or not, Or Tracy no, not Tracy Halperin. What was her?
Missy.
I made her life a little too miserable. I'm apologizing to you
I'm
right
still
now,
friends
Missy.
with Missy. I will tell her. I'll text her right now. Your
Apologize
apologies.
on his
Do you
behalf.
remember when Grant was on the show? Remember we were shooting the opening credits on Melrose Avenue at Johnny Rockets?
Yep.
And he almost got in a fight with somebody?
Well,
you
I listened to
remember
the
that?
episode, so I'm cheating. So I don't remember that.
He started talking
like
about it,
you
and I
best.
remember
But he
it.
sounded like he was
And
very
it
reasonable
was
with him for a
Scott
fighter.
Kahn, right?
No, it was
Chad McQueen.
Chad
Chad
McQueen.
McQueen, and he came up on a motorcycle, and they were like rumbling during our photo
Yeah.
shoot.
Yes.
I'd completely forgotten, as life imitates art.
Yes.
So-
No, I don't have any recollection of that.
Oh, so funny.
So I have a question. There was a reunion magazine shoot that we did, what was that, 2009, 10, 11, 12, something.
While ago,
right?
yeah.
It was about
Yeah, a
at
while
least 10
ago.
years ago.
Yeah.
And you didn't join us. Was that
part of the same instinct.
like were you still sort of in this
Press.
were you still, and if you don't want to answer, you don't have to either, but was that you like, were you unavailable or whatever? Like, we missed having you. Like, that was, I think, when
Why?
Yeah, we
Why
all got
did you not
together.
yeah,
order
like
no
our,
show?
our
Okay,
whole
I'll
thing
tell you
was-
why I didn't do it. Because I didn't think about seeing all you guys together and having that kind of fun. That would have made it attractive to me. And I regret it, you know? Like, I do. I just do. I told my wife, you know, later, shit. When you guys call me from dinner, I was like, oh, flip. I didn't use that word. But, you know, shoot, you know, that I should have gone. What am I doing? But I'm not into looking back that much. You know what I mean? I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
So when it comes to they want to do interviews, I turn down, I think, pretty much all of it. Because I'm like, oh, they want to talk about this. You're like, no, I'm not really. I'm not interested.
You know what the shift is, though, for me? Like, I had the same thought, but it's fun to talk about that time in our lives. Like, it was our 20s, too. I think your early 30s. You said you were 30 then.
Yeah, I'm
But it was
65.
our 20s and 30s, too. And we're all together doing this thing in this time in our lives. So that's what's been really fun, remembering that time, the 90s, and what we were doing in that crazy time. And we had such an exceptional thing because we were out in the middle of nowhere. Remember hanging out in the production office between scenes?
It was awesome
It's
up there.
so rare that casts and crews would hang out between scenes, but we did because we were. It was almost like we're on location because we're out in Santa Cruz in the middle of nowhere. Like you would golf all the time with the crew guys, right? Like you'd have a scene off,
you were
and their
always
car would
golfing.
drive away.
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
We were so close. I think that's really rare.
It is, and that's why I say I miss seeing you guys. But doing a photo shoot for People magazine, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I'm just not for
It
that.
was Entertainment Weekly, but it was super.
Because, but I'm Calabro, so for me, that's all the same magazine. You know, I just.
But it's now.
I was
Think
never
about
in
it.
for
Next,
that.
if it comes up again, just think of it. That's background for all of us getting together
I'll come to
because
New
it's
York
so
and have
sweet.
dinner with you guys.
But
I
you're-
probably
yes,
won't do the
But
shoot.
you're absolutely right. Like, we've said it a million times. We feel so lucky that the group of us it was just such a nice and magical time. And looking back on it now has been so fun, like, especially through the podcast and everything, and these, you know, random reasons for a reunion. It's just such a great excuse to get together and like revisit the friendships. And
But
it's just-
I am curious because he has an answer. Your answer was you don't look back. You don't like to. Is that in general, Thomas? Is that kind of like just with life in general? Forget the show. I'm just curious. Or is it, you know, about a career thing that you did too long ago, or what is it?
No, I don't know what it is. No, it's just who I am. You know, I just like what the heck. It's all
Present day.
that's done stuff, and you know, I like to wake up early in the morning and enjoy the day. You know.
What
That
do you
kind
do? What is a day like with Thomas?
of- I mean,
Not with you, but as you.
last 3 weeks you would have been
like, what are you
know,
up to now?
Yeah, I mean, if we got the house in Oceanside, I'm working on the house over here. You know, visiting with my children. I'm playing tennis, doing yoga.
Oh, you are.
Sounds lovely.
That's
I'm
amazing.
traveling. We
Yeah.
travel a lot. We enjoy traveling a ton. And then occasionally I get a call and I do a little project, 4 episodes of this or 6 episodes of that or something like that.
Yeah.
That sounds.
But I
heavenly.
don't want to. It's like more like a paid hobby now
Yeah.
than anything. I'm just not as interested as I used to be. Love doing it, pursuing it. Not interested.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
even
I
think. First
agree.
of all, series don't work like ours did.
agree.
You'd never do 32 or 33 episodes again. Like people are lucky to get 8 or 10 episodes, but I physically couldn't do it. Like we worked 10 and a half months a year, 14 to 16 hours a day. I couldn't do that anymore.
We were so
I remember
lucky.
Deborah
I mean, I
Adair
get
coming.
exhausted thinking about
Deborah Adair coming, and it was like 5 in the morning, and I was like, "Oh, I'm exhausted." She goes, "But you're 20; it doesn't show." And I was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, now I know.
Now we
now
understand
we know.
what she was
I totally agree. The energy and stuff, but you look really fit, and do you have issues with that of being older than the rest of us? No,
Not
do you
at
have issues of energy and stuff? I'm curious. He sounds like you have such a healthy, wonderful
No,
life.
actually, being older on the show was a great benefit because I had 16 years of professional work behind me.
Yes.
It wasn't all that. I remember when Laura come in and Andrew even, like with those little experiences you had, it was like, you know, I
Zero,
thought it was
yeah.
a lot. You know, like there's no perspective. So I struggled for most of those 16 years. So like for me, it was like gravy time. It was like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, you could.
But
really
that was
appreciate
because
it.
I had all the other experience, right?
It's true.
Yeah. Speaking of experience, so you stayed for season 6 and 7, and I'm dying to hear how those were because we all left after 5. So what was it like Was every day, did you think, I miss those girls so much?
Please
Was
say
it just
that-
hard
that
for you
you
because you
missed
missed us?
Basically,
Like there's a hole
I
in my
woke up,
heart. I don't know what it is.
I had my cry.
I got over it.
And then it was about my day.
But it sounds like there was plenty of like more weddings and more divorces
How
after
many
that.
weddings
Like,
were in 6
that-
and 7? How
okay.
many times did you get married?
I've already proven that I have the worst memory in the room, so don't ask me. I don't know.
But-
I know it was a lot.
You have that statistic. 7
That I
marriages,
remember
5
because
women.
I've said it so many bloody times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's more the memory of having said it than actually remembering it.
But did it feel different? Like, how did it feel at that point? Because a lot of people left, and it was like a brand new cast, basically.
Yeah, there was, right? We had Renee Sofer, and then we had Renee. Oh, see? here's-
Rena.
You're the only cast
Rena?
member who was
Oh,
there from
Rena,
beginning
so-
to
Yeah,
end.
you were there from the
Rena.
beginning
It's okay.
to the end.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll
you're
be
the only
honest.
one.
Look,
You loved
my
it.
goal in my career was one, do the best work I possibly could given my abilities, which I never thought were that great, and make enough flipping money that you don't have to worry about ever working again.
Yeah.
And we were lucky. We had this great show. You say like 32
Yeah,
hours a year. We
crazy.
did, or 34
90s.
somewhere in
Yeah.
there. So we did 11 and a half year run in 7 seasons. I wasn't quitting that dang show for a doc. I was.
had a
I made
family.
major bank. You know how it is from season 5 to 6 or whatever it was then. And then the check goes up big. So I cashed in, and I was free to move about the cabin in any way I wished.
But how did
Nice.
it feel? I
Very
mean, did it feel,
good.
because you were so close to the crew, so maybe it
Yeah.
didn't feel that different to you because a lot of your friends were in our crew and they stayed. But did
Yeah.
it feel different? Like, what are these people doing on our set? Because by the time I left at the end of 5, there were a lot of new people. It did feel different. We're looking at the first episodes we're on. We were such a small, tight group, and we're actually watching the friendships form, which is so sweet. And
Yeah.
then by the end, like, remember our cast pictures? Like, first it was us, and then by the end it was this huge, like, it looked like a school picture. There were
Yeah.
like 30
This-
people.
yeah.
by the
Sprawling
end.
cast photo. Yeah.
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 You know, again, I just took it day by day. So it didn't feel so much different as who am I doing the scene with today, and like adjusting to styles, patterns, and how they want to work and how deeply they want to not be kissed or not, right? Every time you have a scene with one of
Yes.
you guys, I had to like, okay, what are you okay with kissing? You know, with Josie, tongue, no tongue, whatever the frick it is.
Did you ask?
Right?
Did you have
Oh,
that? I love
always.
it when people have that conversation.
I
think
spent
it's
most
really
of my
great.
time on Melrose Place making sure the sheet didn't cover the boob patches.
Yeah.
That's what I remember, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I never had a love scene with you. You
Yeah.
would
You
have
did.
taken such good
You guys
care.
are right now.
few.
And
Yeah.
Those are not love scenes.
Those are the hardest
they're just
scenes
so
to
messy.
do.
Hey everybody, the time has finally come. This week, starting Monday, October 7th, going daily through Friday, October 11th, Bowen Yang and I, Matt Rogers, are unveiling the iconic 400. Yes, these are the top 400 people in all of culture, and we're unveiling all of them. Number 372,
Nancy Kerrigan.
Why? We will never really know why. We have worked tirelessly on this list.
I'm Michael Barbaro.
Once
Once
you hear
I'm Michael Barbaro.
you know exactly who is talking. And we really think it's going to resonate. Christian! She's not a Christian! Happily flying a pride flag. Also, there might be a little bit of a surprise or two in there, so listen carefully. Hint, hint, Friday. Listen to Las Culturistas on Will Ferrell's Big Money Players Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Daphne Caruana Galizia was a Maltese investigative journalist who on October 16, 2017, was murdered.
There are crooks everywhere you look now. The situation is desperate.
My name is Manuel Delia. I am one of the hosts of Crooks Everywhere, a podcast that unearths the plot to murder a one-woman WikiLeaks. Daphne exposed the culture of crime and corruption that were turning her beloved country into a mafia state. And she paid the ultimate price. Listen to Crooks Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. To listen to new episodes 1 week early and 100% ad-free, subscribe to the iHeart True Crime Plus channel, available exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
I felt too seen, dragged.
I'm NK, and this is Basket Case. So I basically had what back in the day they would call a nervous breakdown.
I was crying and I was inconsolable.
It was just very big, sudden swaps of different meds.
What is wrong with me?
Oh, look at you giving me therapy, girl.
Finally, a show for the mentally ill girlies. On Basket Case, I talk to people about what happens when what we call mental health is shaped by the conditions of the world we live in. Because if you haven't noticed, we are experiencing some kind of up conditions that are pretty hard to live with. But if you struggle to cope, the society that created the conditions in the first place will tell you there's something wrong with you, and it will call you a basket case. Listen to Basket Case every Tuesday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey fam, I'm Simone Boyce.
I'm Danielle Robay.
And we're the hosts of The Bright Side, the daily podcast from Hello Sunshine that is guaranteed to light up your day.
Every weekday, we bring you conversations with the culture makers who inspire us.
Like our recent episode with dancer, actor, host of Dancing with the Stars, and now novelist, Julianne Hough.
I feel really whole. I feel like the last few years I've really unraveled a lot, which is part of what this book is about. And I really feel so content, which is a word that used to scare the crap out of me. And I love that word now.
Listen to The Bright Side from Hello Sunshine on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, I'm Jack Beast Thomas, the host of a brand new Black Effect original series, Black Lit, the podcast for diving deep into the rich world of Black literature. I'm Jack Beast Thomas, and I'm inviting you to join me and a vibrant community of literary enthusiasts dedicated to protecting and celebrating our stories. Black Lit is for the page turners, for those who listen to audiobooks while commuting or running errands, for those who find themselves seeking solace, wisdom, and refuge between the chapters. From thought-provoking novels to powerful poetry, we'll explore the stories that shape our culture. Together, we'll dissect classics and contemporary works while uncovering the stories of the brilliant writers behind them. Blacklit is here to amplify the voices of Black writers and to bring their words to life. Listen to Blacklit on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you remember there was a scene where I think Michael was trying to kill Sydney, and they sent, I mean, one of the many times.
One of the many times. Who wasn't trying to kill you?
But we were like in some cabin in the woods, and then we had to go to, there was a swimming hole, and you were going to drown me. Do you remember this?
I wish I did.
Do you remember?
What do you remember?
Oh my God, I remember this. I mean, speaking of boob patches, because I think we were skinny dipping, right? So I was in like things that weren't really staying on in the water, whatever. But like, I think there was this swimming hole. I'm going to see if I can jog your memory. It was like this dirty water of swimming hole thing, and we were in it.
On stage, or were we on location?
No, we were out on location somewhere.
Yeah,
we had
I
trailers
remember.
out in the woods somewhere, and then and like Michael was going to drown Sydney or whatever. I just remember being in this filthy water, and like I had to go under. And I'm like, like it was so gross or whatever, and like so many things that I think an audience doesn't realize. But what I remember was just like the discomfort of being in this filthy water, and we were swimming in it.
Did he try to kill you, or did you outsmart him? Did you actually get to the point where he's trying to drown you?
He did not kill me.
Well, I know he didn't actually kill you.
I think good. This is a good question for my memory. I don't remember the actual outcome. It'll be in like season 4 or 5 or something. Yeah, the fans will remind us. But season 4 or 5, and I think maybe you had like your conscience got the better of you, and like you changed your mind.
That happened on rare occasions.
You're like, yeah.
Well, wait. I got to turn it back on you. Do you remember when you were the stripper and I discovered you were stripping?
Do I remember?
Do you remember that scene?
I sure do.
How much did you hate me that day?
I hated you a ton.
I felt it.
In fact, we just talked about this. It wasn't that I hated you. It's that I felt so vulnerable doing that scene anyway. And your job as your character was to make me feel horrible, right? That was your job. Yeah. So I just remember that scene like totally making me feel terrible, like vulnerable and like icky about myself, right? But your job as your character was to rub it in Sydney's face, and you did it, and because you were so wonderfully mean and gleeful at it, and literally. Yes, I absolutely remember that. But it's so interesting that
I
you
never
say
think you liked me after that. I thought it was over. Because I had I talked, Josie, I watched your interview with her, and she said that I was spontaneous or something. And I'm not sure I was always so spontaneous, but I do remember being spontaneous in that scene because I had caught your garter. And I punched the scene at the end after it was done by putting it over your head, pointing at you and laughing.
Yeah.
Which now makes me feel kind of terrible. I can't say I feel bad really that I did that now. But in the moment, and that's when they said cut, and you called me a clown. Do you remember that?
Is that really what you meant to call?
You know what? I'm proud of myself that's the word I chose.
No. But then the scene was over, so I then went to felt terrible.
Oh.
And I don't remember if we ever spoke about that again, but we're speaking about it now, so I'm sorry.
It's so I'm sorry too, because
Why are you
it's
sorry?
interesting. No, just like that, like it's something he's taken away. He doesn't remember much, but he does remember that.
Well,
and
yeah.
I think
you're sorry for
that's so
him,
interesting.
how you
Yeah,
feel.
like
Because it was a big,
that feeling.
it was
like
a big bad feeling for me. So that's why I remember it, right? I don't remember the everyday scenes and all that stuff, but we do all have those, spot-specific memory moments where something happened that stayed with you. So
Because that's what acting is. It's such a, it really does tap into you as a human being, your sense of whatever. So that sounds like that was a spontaneous action. That it wasn't like
impulse. Yeah,
Well,
like
it was, but I
impulses
just thought that you didn't like me.
Oh no, I
But
mean,
probably because I was an arrogant idiot. That could have been the other reason.
I loved working
you
with
were
you, and
good at your
I liked
job.
you, and it was always the character. Like the character Michael was supposed to, be gleeful and evil, and that was their dynamic, and it was just that from my memory of it, we just talked about this. It's like that.
Thomas, did you have other moments like that? Because you played such an evil guy like that. Did you have other feelings like that throughout your 7 years? Because
no,
you had to do a lot.
Well, this is specific because I knew I had hurt Laura, not Sydney, right? So there's another scene with Marcia where she just dripped down the wall when I hand her my divorce papers in the middle of the hospital. And I'm like, get over it, honey. What's wrong with you? Like totally being glib about the whole thing. And she's up against the wall and sliding down it. And no, because I think we didn't have that. I knew, that Marcia didn't take it personally at the time. But I felt like I had hurt your feelings. And so that's why I remember that. But I don't remember that much. Like Jack, you couldn't hurt his feelings.
Right.
And I abused the frick out of him.
Because one of the questions we got was what it was like for you to play that kind of character. So you felt that because maybe you sensed her frailty and she was new at acting maybe, and Marcia also came from theater and she's used to that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah. Marcia and I often talked about how we wanted to play it, and we tried different ways. That was just our way of working together. Because, we don't have a lot of rehearsal time.
Right.
So, yeah,
I found the change of going from films, which I'd done 8 years of, to TV, which goes so fast, hard, because there's no time to rehearse. You just hit your sandbag there, that little line, and then just say your thing and they move on. Was that hard for you or no?
No, again, because I had the 16 years behind me. But like Amy Locane, because I watched the pilot to, like you guys, somebody asked me to do. And I, my heart broke a little bit for Amy because I'll never forget, she came from doing a few films, not a lot of experience. She was young. And Amy came to me after like episode 3, and she was struggling because they wanted her to do a dialect, which she wasn't really proficient at. And then she had to move so fast, and she'd only done movies. And she said, Thomas, I don't know what to do. What's the matter, Amy? I'm just used to knowing the director's name. But they come and go so fast in television.
Yep.
She couldn't get comfortable. And of course, we lost her after 13 episodes, and I'm not sure it was all her fault. It was just the circumstances for her. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. I mean, what you do have on TV, though, is you play the character for so long that eventually directors come and go. And we had regular directors, which I loved.
Yeah.
But you know the character, so you go in knowing. I remember Andrew learning his lines on the way into work. Right.
Almost learning.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
Most of them.
Vaguely learning his lines on the way into work. But you do know the character so much. So eventually it really is an actor's medium because the director's sort of moving you around. But if they say your character to do this, you'd be like, I've been playing this person for 3 years. So I know
and they
them
know
better
that.
than you do.
A lot of them know that.
They do. The more experienced ones absolutely
Yeah,
do know.
they
But
just
also, if they come back, you start to trust them more. So if they have an idea, you're more willing to try it. Right, as they come back.
They say the stage is the actor's medium, film is the director's, and television is the producer's. And as you guys, of course, know, I directed about 4 or 5 episodes, whatever it was. And I definitely felt that it was producer's medium. You feel that weight. You've already got a style. You got to shoot the same way, the same thing.
Tell
you can
us
be
more
a little
about
creative.
that, about the directing, what that was like.
I loved it. Again, if it wasn't you guys, I don't know what it would have been like. But you guys were all so great to work with.
I remember you being very happy as a director. Like, you felt happier to me. Like, you were so... also, your character was more intense. And as a director, you just come in as Thomas, and you were so lovely. And it's great to work with an actor as a director because of the way you communicate with us.
Right.
It's so funny, I'd forgotten that until you just mentioned it. Did you like it as much as you seemed to like it?
I loved it. I hated the unknown because I didn't know technical so much, although that got better as the first episode I directed, I got hives. I was covered in red welts all over.
Wow.
And but yeah, that kind calmed down, and then I had the trust of everybody, which was a great comfort.
Yeah.
But yeah, did I love working with you? Yeah. Except Rob Estes was like, "Stay away from me, Thomas. Don't come over. Don't get out of your chair," because I gave him way too much.
You did? Get away. So did you feel like the
funny.
producers were breathing down your neck to get what they needed? You're saying it's their medium, or did you?
Yeah, I mean, I was aware of it,
Trying to be
so
your-
it wasn't like they had to come and look over me.
Yeah.
It's just that sometimes, you felt they were pushing you in their direction rather than the one you want to go in, even though, and it was more like later episodes. It was when Frank took over.
Well, and also I imagine as a theater director, you want to spend time talking about the character and the motivation. Like, we don't have time for that. We got to get it in the can.
The biggest challenge as a director was I kind of plotted everything out, but I went over the scenes so much that I wanted to be able to adjust to whatever you guys needed, right? Jack might say, like, I'm not going to stop there. The great thing about doing it was that I was prepared for that, and some of the greatest stuff came out of that, and I was able to handle that. The bad news was I had to shoot my bloody self, so I had to direct myself, and I just wanted to get through that as fast as possible.
Were you difficult to work with, Thomas?
Yeah. How did you like working with yourself?
I didn't.
Did you keep asking for
Were
more
you an
takes?
asshole to yourself? Did you hurt yourself in your feelings?
I couldn't speak fast enough. That was my problem.
Hey everybody, the time has finally come. This week, starting Monday, October 7th, going daily through Friday, October 11th, Bowen Yang and I, Matt Rogers, are unveiling the iconic 400. Yes, these are the top 400 people in all of culture, and we're unveiling all of them.
Number 372, Nancy Kerrigan.
Why? We will never really know why. We have worked tirelessly on this list.
I'm Michael Barbaro.
Once you hear
I'm Michael Barbaro.
you know exactly who is talking. And we really think it's going to resonate. Christian! She is not a Christian! Happily flying a pride flag. Also, there might be a little bit of a surprise or two in there, so listen carefully. Hint, hint, Friday. Listen to Las Culturistas on Will Ferrell's Big Money Players Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I felt too seen. Dragged.
I'm NK, and this is Basket Case.
So I basically had what back in the day they would call a nervous breakdown.
I was crying and I was inconsolable.
It was just very big, sudden swaps of different meds.
What is wrong with me?
Oh, look at you giving me therapy, girl.
Finally, a show for the mentally ill girlies. On Basket Case, I talk to people about what happens when what we call mental health is shaped by the conditions of the world we live in. Because if you haven't noticed, we are experiencing some kind of up conditions that are pretty hard to live with. But if you struggle to cope, the society that created the conditions in the first place will tell you there's something wrong with you, and it will call you a basket case. Listen to Basket Case every Tuesday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Daphne Caruana Galizia was a Maltese investigative journalist who on October 16, 2017, was murdered.
There are crooks everywhere you look now. The situation is desperate.
My name is Manuel Delia. I am one of the hosts of Crooks Everywhere, a podcast that unearths the plot to murder a one-woman WikiLeaks. Daphne exposed the culture of crime and corruption that were turning her beloved country into a mafia state. And she paid the ultimate price. Listen to Crooks Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. To listen to new episodes 1 week early and 100% ad-free, subscribe to the iHeart True Crime Plus channel, available exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
Hey fam, I'm Simone Boyce.
I'm Danielle Robay.
And we're the hosts of The Bright Side, the daily podcast from Hello Sunshine that is guaranteed to light up your day.
Every weekday, we bring you conversations with the culture makers who inspire us.
Like our recent episode with dancer, actor, host of Dancing with the Stars, and now novelist, Julianne Hough.
I feel really whole. I feel like the last few years I've really unraveled a lot, which is part of what this book is about. And I really feel so content, which is a word that used to scare the crap out of me. And I love that word now.
Listen to The Bright Side from Hello Sunshine on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, I'm Jack Beast Thomas, the host of a brand new Black Effect original series, Black Lit, the podcast for diving deep into the rich world of Black literature. I'm Jack Beast Thomas, and I'm inviting you to join me in a vibrant community of literary enthusiasts dedicated to protecting and celebrating our stories. Black Lit is for the page turners, for those who listen to audiobooks while commuting or running errands, for those who find themselves seeking solace, wisdom, and refuge between the chapters. From thought-provoking novels to powerful poetry, we'll explore the stories that shape our culture. Together, we'll dissect classics and contemporary works while uncovering the stories of the brilliant writers behind them. Blacklit is here to amplify the voices of Black writers and to bring their words to life. Listen to Blacklit on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, let's go back to another fan question. So since you say you got married 7 times,
Michael got married 7 times.
Michael got married 7 times.
I'm twice and done. That's it.
So there are a couple questions in this direction, as you guys probably read too. Who do you think was best matched?
Wait, who do you think was the best wife?
You,
match?
Michael, your partner.
Yeah. Who was Michael's best match?
I have to say Laura, first of all.
Well, I'm right here. I'm right here.
Right answer.
Did he try to kill you before
And you
or
heard her
after
feel
your
like
wedding?
all
Was
during
it part of the wedding?
all during the marriage, he was trying to kill me.
When I didn't have my brain thing, remember that?
There was a
the brain thing.
Yeah.
I was like,
there was a brain thing.
and you were playing that on me,
and then you were
and then I
faking
knew you were
it or
playing on me,
something.
so I kept doing, but I wasn't, and then I got you tied up in bed. That was the end of that.
Oh my God.
That's so funny because, you know,
But you remember that.
Michael, what are you doing? I go, I'm not brain dead or whatever I was. I forgot what
That's
I
so
was.
funny because Allison went blind and then got her sight back, but kept pretending to be blind. There's a theme on the show.
Yes.
There's
It's
a
called
theme.
soap opera.
Yeah. But you have a very
so
good memory
funny.
of that.
I can't wait to get to those episodes. Now
remember
I'm
most of
even
our
more
stuff.
excited.
Yeah. Our stuff.
Except for the dirty hole.
dirty
So you
swimming
married
hole.
Sydney twice, Laura twice.
We
Yep.
think.
And Josie twice.
Okay, not
twice.
Joe. You never married Joe, just saying.
Old.
You
So
never
you
shagged
guys
Joe. You
got
never did
together on
nothing
the show.
with
We
Joe.
never got together on the show.
Oh, never. No, but no.
Don't say no, but like there was an off-camera thing. You're like,
No,
well, not
it
on
was
the
Heather.
show.
Heather, I had a one-timer with because she had cancer and needed help, so I parlayed that into some sex.
Parlayed it.
How about that? Why wouldn't he be joyful? Come on.
You remember a lot, mister. He's faking it even now. I love what you're remembering.
So there was Joe. So I betted Heather before Jack did, which was just a little
Or
personal.
before Jack, too.
Heather was with all of the regular characters.
No way.
Yeah,
she?
Amanda was with all, well, except Doug, except Matt.
Yeah,
all
she
the
was
boys.
not with Matt.
Wait,
yeah, she
Grant,
made her way through because she used to
Andrew,
complain
yes.
to me because her character had this
Billy,
thing
yeah.
as such a slut. And Allison was a good girl, but I actually had more boyfriends on the show. They just bring them in for a couple episodes and then send them out, so they didn't stick with people.
As opposed to the
Like,
right.
Allison was actually more of a whore. Not to slut shame, but Allison had more fun, shall we say?
I didn't even know there was such a thing as slut shaming, but good.
But don't do it.
That's where to do it in
it.
Melrose Place.
But so she made her way. She dated all of the regular characters. Dated,
Did she
being
really?
very generous.
Except
term.
me.
Yeah,
well,
dated.
I'm going to call that a date.
Melrose dated.
That was
Had
just
her way
payback
with.
for cancer help. So answering your question. I love them all. I mean, Michael loved them all.
I
But
am
who
right
else?
here. Just
And also,
saying.
I mean, even that word matched. Who do you think we were best matched? I mean, in Michael's character, it was like this tumultuous, evil mutual. Could it have been Kimberly? Could it have been? You know what I mean? It's not like happily ever after.
Well, it depends on, the benchmarks for good, right?
Yeah.
For a good match. So I would say Josie for heartfelt, honest. Also because it was early in the show and the show hadn't changed tone. So nobody else really got that chance. Comedy, I'm going to say Sydney. Because we just had a ton of good, fun
That was a
stuff to
blast,
do
yeah.
all the time.
Kimberly?
Kimberly, yeah. I mean, for high drama, you can't beat that.
Yeah, that was good.
So high drama, we got 3 things covered. Megan,
Love,
for sweetness.
nowhere in there.
Kelly Rutherford, forgive me, Kelly. I love you. Yep, she was terrific. Very
was
sweet.
terrific.
Sweet.
Yeah,
That's how I
sweet.
remember that.
That's why it probably didn't last long.
Right.
She was the hooker with the heart of gold, right?
Oh, right.
Remember? She was the hooker with the heart of gold.
I don't
I think you're
remember.
right. I think you're right.
I can't even wait. I'm so
You
excited
too were
to
a
get
hooker
to
with a
those
heart of
episodes.
gold.
I was briefly.
We were that seems to be another theme. Faking illness and hookers with a heart of gold.
we'll get
Okay.
there.
Great.
No, Lisa Renna. I was married to her. Was I?
You were?
Maybe season 6. Where you guys were gone, so it doesn't
We're
matter.
back with Jane again.
And then back with Jane
Okay.
when she came
I
back to
watched
the show.
it.
And you finished with Jane. Is that right?
I
Sort
finished
of.
with a Playboy bunny on my lap. That's all I remember. And I'm winking at the camera.
I have a
nice.
question. Speaking of Lisa, so Lisa and I knew each other after the show, and her experience because she played a bad guy on the show was that people sort of treated her like she was mean. I was always a good guy, so people were like, "Hi, we love you." Did you find as your character was darker, would people react to you like you were a bad guy, or were they still happy? Could they separate you from your character?
Pretty much, I think most of the time it was a separation. I never got a rock thrown at me or slapped across the face. So that was interesting, right? Because that doesn't often happen. You know, people think you are who you are on television, but somehow the Melrose fans were able to make that separation.
Well, you started nice, so maybe they had that sense of your progression. They had a sense of who
Could be.
you
I started
were.
grumpy, according to Jane.
A little bit grumpy.
I started grumpy, then I got mean.
But you were also like the ultimate like bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Like so out in the world, would people go, "Oh, I love that," evil
TV
character.
guy did point me out as the meanest man on television in
Yeah,
19 something
see?
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, my
You were.
Yeah.
You were.
my favorite accolade.
You were
Such a nice guy.
unrelentingly evil for a while. Like you just got meaner, and like it can't
And
get
it was
worse.
a
Like,
fun
oh my god,
mean.
it's meaner.
It was a
Yeah.
fun mean.
It was so
you always
much
had an energy and a smile and a joy with your meanness. That's what I
Yeah, you seemed like
remember.
you were having a ball.
A ball.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Jack when he directed one episode, and we were doing a scene together when he was directing. And I guess I was playing it too real or something.
Oh, really?
Or too low key. He's like, "Thomas, come on, just do what you do."
Good direction.
And then I'm like, "Oh, I've become a terrible actor. I know I have."
Hey everybody, the time has finally come. This week, starting Monday, October 7th, going daily through Friday, October 11th, Bowen Yang and I, Matt Rogers, are unveiling the iconic 400. Yes, these are the top 400 people in all of culture, and we're unveiling all of them.
Number 372, Nancy Kerrigan.
We will never really know why. We have worked tirelessly on this list.
I'm Michael Barbaro.
Once you hear
I'm Michael Barbaro.
you know exactly who is talking. And we really think it's going to resonate.
Christian! She is not a Christian!
Happily, flying a pride flag. Also, there might be a little bit of a surprise or two in there, so listen carefully. Hint, hint, Friday. Listen to Las Culturistas on Will Ferrell's Big Money Players Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I felt too seen. Dragged.
I'm NK, and this is Basket Case.
So I basically had what back in the day they would call a nervous breakdown.
I was crying and I was inconsolable.
It was just very big, sudden swaps of different meds.
What is wrong with me?
Oh, look at you giving me therapy, girl.
Finally, a show for the mentally ill girlies. On Basket Case, I talk to people about what happens when what we call mental health is shaped by the conditions of the world we live in. Because if you haven't noticed, we are experiencing some kind of up conditions that are pretty hard to live with. But if you struggle to cope, the society that created the conditions in the first place will tell you there's something wrong with you, and it will call you a basket case. Listen to Basket Case every Tuesday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Daphne Caruana Galizia was a Maltese investigative journalist who on October 16, 2017, was murdered.
There are crooks everywhere you look now. The situation is desperate.
My name is Manuel Delia. I am one of the hosts of Crooks Everywhere, a podcast that unearths the plot to murder a one-woman WikiLeaks. Daphne exposed the culture of crime and corruption that were turning her beloved country into a mafia state. And she paid the ultimate price. Listen to Crooks Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. To listen to new episodes 1 week early and 100% ad-free, subscribe to the iHeart True Crime Plus channel, available exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
Hey fam, I'm Simone Boyce.
I'm Danielle Robay.
And we're the hosts of The Bright Side, the daily podcast from Hello Sunshine that is guaranteed to light up your day.
Every weekday, we bring you conversations with the culture makers who inspire us.
Like our recent episode with dancer, actor, host of Dancing with the Stars, and now novelist, Julianne Hough.
I feel really whole. I feel like the last few years I've really unraveled a lot, which is part of what this book is about. And I really feel so content, which is a word that used to scare the crap out of me. And I love that word now.
Listen to The Bright Side from Hello Sunshine on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, I'm Jack Beast Thomas, the host of a brand new Black Effect original series, Black Lit, the podcast for diving deep into the rich world of Black literature. I'm Jack Beast Thomas, and I'm inviting you to join me in a vibrant community of literary enthusiasts dedicated to protecting and celebrating our stories. Black Lit is for the page turners, for those who listen to audiobooks while commuting or running errands, for those who find themselves seeking solace, wisdom, and refuge between the chapters. From thought-provoking novels to powerful poetry, we'll explore the stories that shape our culture. Together, we'll dissect classics and contemporary works while uncovering the stories of the brilliant writers behind them. Blacklit is here to amplify the voices of Black writers and to bring their words to life. Listen to Blacklit on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
What else we got?
There's this is my favorite fan question.
Go.
Do you remember that this is specifically for you, which is the funniest part to me? Do you remember the perfume called Melrose Place, and did you wear it?
They asked me that question?
Apparently, well, no, they say for all. But
I didn't know that.
But Courtney wants to know specifically.
I know we had bobbleheads and stuff like that, but The merchandising check does not reflect the Melrose
No.
Place perfume because it
And
would
if-
be huge.
If there was a Melrose Place perfume, none of us are aware of it. Wait a minute! Stop it! Oh my God! Our producer got us each a bottle of, I kid you not, Melrose Place
Is
perfume.
this from eBay or is this like current? Did you just go to CVS and
Oh
pick
my
this?
gosh, we're gonna find out right now. Thank goodness.
Here, now you can answer
It's
the
actually
question.
not
minute.
bad. I gotta tell you, it's not bad.
I don't know how you do this.
Is it?
Put it over here.
Yeah.
Dear,
Oh, he's
dear.
putting it
Wait,
on.
Teenage girls are going to be chasing you down the
I've
street
worn
now.
cologne since I went to discos.
I
when I was
love
20.
Unbelievable.
I'm gonna
I
try
gotta say,
it.
it's
I'm
not
doing
bad.
it.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
putting it on.
Just can't-
It smells very 90s.
That's this way.
Well,
You
I
guys,
mean,
we
cut-
look like Melrose Place and we smell like
It
Melrose
smells
Place.
kind of like I wore in high school.
Oh, this is kind of a 90s
It's
guy.
not bad. It's not
this
bad.
is for a guy, guys.
It's a little bit.
That's
Wait,
generic.
is it a
think?
cologne or is it? I don't know.
It's cologne.
Okay, now I'm going to go home with this.
It's
My wife is
unisex.
gonna-
Sex. We were ahead of our time.
You say, well, I
It's
saw
I'm
the
in
ladies
trouble now.
today.
It ain't a Caroline Herrera, but it'll do.
This
Yeah,
is
exactly. Your wife's going to be
amazing.
like, whose perfume is that? She'll never
Yeah.
believe you when you
This
say
is
it's
amazing.
Melrose Place
Yeah.
perfume. She's like, yeah, right.
You know, Melrose Place.
Wow, we all smell suddenly
That's
like the
amazing.
90s. This is hilarious.
Right? It's not bad, though.
I did it.
I gotta
Wow,
say.
that's
All right.
The look on
Awesome.
Thomas's face right now is like really
matches
kind of
your
like.
Yeah, I'm not a smelly guy. I like natural smells.
Okay, here's
grass
another
and-
good question that I actually really
Yeah.
love.
Go.
How much coaching did the show provide to make the medical stuff believable? Do you remember having to
do
memorize the medical
stuff?
jargon?
Not a lot. Whenever I had stuff like that, I just went to my sister, who's a surgeon. So I just went to her and asked her about stuff.
wow.
They're having their own private
Oh,
conversation.
what's going on over there?
They're doing what
I
Josie
think there's
and
something in
they're
here.
doing what Josie and Laura did every other episode. They had
We're
a
not
scene.
allowed to sit together. We talked about that with Josie. That
I heard.
they should have been separated. They should have filmed their scenes separately because you guys could not stop
Separate
laughing.
us.
Yeah, they totally down.
Always.
Yeah, I didn't even think they exaggerated. I think they underplayed what actually
it was
happened. Because I would
crazy.
be next up and like, what's freaking holding the thing up?
Really? Just like
Yeah.
a total like makeup redo because we're crying laughing. These are fan questions. How hard was it to play someone so obnoxious? This is a fan question, not a Laura question.
Easy question. Not at all hard. Go
Not
ahead.
at all hard. I
No,
love it. Yeah.
Very easy. Very fun.
Yeah, I feel like I should get the same question. How hard was it to play someone so obnoxious?
Laura, how
Super
hard
fun.
was it to play? Thank you.
Super fun.
Yeah.
But your character changed all the time. Like sometimes you were sweet, sometimes you were mean, sometimes you were vulnerable. So it wasn't like Thomas for a long time. You were unrelentingly.
Yeah.
sort
You were
of
just a bad guy.
Gleefully mean. Like you said gleefully mean. That's the perfect way to say it. Gleefully mean.
And that was a choice I made because everybody in the audience knew what I was doing. So doing it meanly wasn't adding anything. So I kept making other choices. Gleefully fun, or maybe I'll play with them a little bit, torture them, don't right out. And that's why being proactive is so fun. Everybody knows the bad guy's bad, so now you can do it any way you want. And if you do it gleefully, it turns out they like it even more, which was a blessing.
Yeah, it really is fun.
Do you think your theater background came in that? Because it's not.
Well, you know how it is with training, right? You're always experimenting and playing, and you're getting direction from your teacher, and you're saying, why not this or why not that? You go and do the same scene maybe 5-6 times sometimes. And so you go in and you're experimenting. So in that way, it helped me know what my choices were, and also being able to execute those.
Yeah. Very well, I might add. Very well.
In your imagination, what would an affair between Michael and Joe or Michael and Allison
And
been
then
like?
I think we should answer that.
I think something with her could have resulted in a fist fight. I mean, actual battle. And who else did you ask me about?
Allison.
Allison.
No idea I was on the show. I was on the show with you, sweetie, from day one.
This is Courtney.
No idea.
She
who I am.
also was on as long as you.
No idea.
Court, we must have. I can't imagine in the number of years we worked together, in the number of episodes we performed in, that at some point Michael didn't make a pass at you.
I know, it's so weird.
It must have kind of almost happened.
We had very few scenes together. It's fun to watch the first season because we had scenes together. But like you'd knock on my door and say, there's someone in the courtyard, and it was sweet. But then our storylines just
was always
completely
different.
veered apart. Mm-hmm. Right? We just didn't overlap very much.
No, I don't think we did. But still, even in that, they had to write something in there at some point.
Apparently they did.
Apparently they didn't. They just
didn't?
brought on new
Apparently
people.
they
Okay,
didn't.
so what would tell me what our relationship would have looked like?
I think
had we
you
had
would have.
one?
I would have said that's so mean, and then it wouldn't have been any fun for you. I think Allison would have very earnestly said that feels really mean to me.
Then it would,
shamed you.
Then I
And
would
then it would've been,
slink
that was
away.
no fun at all. And then it would have been over.
Wait,
I would slink
You
away
would-
and find another victim.
You would
That's it.
slink away and guess what? Skim the pool.
Skim the
because
pool.
you skimmed the pool a lot.
A
the
lot.
First
Gardening.
season.
Oh, because I was the manager.
You were doing the
Of course I
landscaping and the
skimmed.
pool skimming. Yeah.
And we had that other guy I seen every other scene skimming too. So I was like we were dual skimmers.
Yeah.
The faceless man who just skimmed.
I remember
had a pool
Scotty,
guy.
our prop guy, was
Scotty
the pool
was
guy.
often the pool skimmer.
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember
that's
Scotty?
right. That's right. Scott Nagoyan.
And he would
that.
like slip in there. And, we've seen him shooters in the background and
That's
stuff.
right.
We've
That's
had
right.
Which
some fun-
apartment was yours? So we had because your apartment on the show was upstairs, right?
No.
So
No, downstairs across
you
from you.
were
Right across from the pool, so we could skim
I
the
watched
pool.
the pilot. You come right
that's
across.
right.
Yes.
I was across from you.
That's right.
Was that apartment
Number
a
5.
full apartment in there? The set?
Yeah, some were and some weren't, right? So I
Yeah.
think we had
Yeah, there was-
had
yours
our
was.
living room, kitchen.
There was I thought there was a bedroom and a bathroom at times too.
Was there? They may
I
have
think
been.
there was, so it could be
They
a full
could move
apartment because that
stuff
was mine
around.
too. So either I took it from Jane. I don't know. It was a
Yeah, you moved
It was
in.
definitely
You
where I
married
lived
her
too.
brother, her husband.
Yeah, but then I also lived there alone. It became Sydney's.
then you
too.
kicked.
And you lived in number 5?
Was yeah.
That was number 5 when we
Yeah.
moved to when Michael
Yeah.
moved
They
to
moved.
Oxnard with
I know
Marcia.
somehow I got
Moved
it.
out
Yeah, you
Kimberly.
moved to
Whatever.
I know,
You
terrible.
moved to the beach.
I only
Where
called
I
them
got
by
my
their
baby
character's
stolen
name for
by
5
that-
years
Oh.
because I didn't want that to happen when I was shooting.
Oh my gosh, you
Right?
the
Everybody was
whole-
annoyed.
The whole first 5
That's
years that we worked
hilarious.
together, the only 5 years that we worked together, you never knew my name, and I was like, I think he's doing that on purpose.
No, it
He's
was
like-
so I wouldn't
but
forget when we were shooting.
It's proving now that he actually,
yeah.
he still doesn't
And
know
look,
anybody's
my own
name.
kids don't get called the right name.
It was not personal.
And Connor's 30 now, so it's terrible.
He didn't remember that we were in it.
Yeah,
He
sometimes
didn't
she's
remember
Lucas,
who anyone
sometimes
was.
she's
Yeah,
Augie.
it's all right.
It's a crapshoot.
You're
Yeah.
now
It's not
answering our
personal.
first question was
Yes.
like why you don't like to look in the past. You're answering that question because you don't remember anybody's names. You don't remember.
Correct.
But you're
But
remembering
we did
really
so
fun
many.
stuff.
Do you remember? We've talked a lot about double ups. Do you remember when they did double ups for the first
Yeah.
time? We thought this will never work.
I do.
Were you in Oxnard? Because Laura remembers
Back-
having to go from Oxnard to Santa Clarita in one day.
Totally remember.
Well, we
that.
usually had a day of shooting
Well-
there every episode when we had it, and then another day. So I usually back those back to back.
Yeah.
So when we were doing the 2 episodes, I was there with one director and cast member, whoever it may be, and then the next day, the other director in there. So I stayed up there overnight.
We
many
would
times.
stay
I do
overnight.
remember that.
Right.
We would
Right.
get a
There's a
hotel
hotel
over
there.
there
That's
because we'd be there
right.
2 days in a row. And
Yes.
Yeah. I remember that.
So do you remember showing up at the wrong location sometimes during double ups?
Don't
Like driving.
think I ever did that because I was so anal about getting the boards early because I needed to study. I needed to know my lines at least 4 days before we shot. I like to have them so I could just spit them out without thinking. So I always wanted forward things. So all the ADs were used to getting me the stuff early in the boards. So
Wow.
and every time they said, "We can't promise this is going to stay, Thomas." I'm like, "I know it's year 5. You don't have to tell me that again."
But they did a great job. We talked about that. Can you imagine, especially since you've directed, how they would board that 6 episodes, shooting 2 at the same time?
Yep.
How they would board that.
Cast
And they were
members.
like, we often knew within a few hours. Like I've done other shows, you wait 5 hours. At Melrose, I remember sometimes because Andrew would play with the time, he would be literally like pulling up. They're like, we're ready for you. He'd race through makeup. Luckily, he looked like Andrew, so they would just like go makeup at him and he would walk right onto set. Like it was, they had it down. Remember that?
Yeah, they did. Bob
That's
Montoya
rare.
was
Yep.
one of the best ADs I've ever worked with. I mean, maybe the best.
Yeah.
That's rare.
And,
We're
and
also-
who else do we have that was
Well,
so great?
Chip Hayes, I think,
Chip.
was a big part of making that all
Chip
work.
Hayes,
We're,
yeah, our
we're hoping to
producer.
have him on the podcast as well.
Oh,
He was great.
yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were a really good group. And then when we did doubles up, I just treated it as a 2-hour script. And so I could keep my mind straight. That's
Yeah.
how I did it.
Oh, interesting.
But it wasn't you'd have 6 because so much happened at that point, especially in the later seasons. So much would happen in 6 shows because Daphne and I talk about it. We had a storyline during double ups where I was going to testify for her for child custody, and that was when Allison was in her adorable drug and alcohol phase. And I was high when I was supposed to testify, but we couldn't, like, from scene to scene, we were best friends.
Do I like you or do I hate you now?
Yeah, we had
Did
2
you not
scripts,
show up
right?
for
'Cause
me
so
when I'm
much
about to lose
happened.
my baby?
Do you have a
has
brain or
that
do you
happened?
not have a brain right now?
Yeah.
Right.
Is it
Are you
before lunch
actually
or after
injured, or are you
lunch?
pretending? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
There's sometimes
to
you
that
you
point,
fudge
yeah,
stuff,
go ahead.
don't you think? During TV, things would go, maybe not you, it doesn't sound like you, but sometimes I would just go, I hope this is the right intention to play right here. I hope this is the right way to say
keep
this.
it sort of vague.
I'm not sure.
Keep it sort of vague. They can project anything on
Yes,
you. Yeah.
just kind of like hit your mark and
This
bark,
one's
we
going to
call
be
it.
good enough.
Maybe I should mention that every scene I marked where I was coming from and where I was going to, so I knew that.
I know, that's your training.
I would do.
Yeah.
I was pretty fastidious
I remember
that way.
going up to Married saying, I've completely lost my footing. Where am I in which script? Because they would just start to float around in my mind.
It was hard.
Yeah.
It's hard
Yeah.
for her.
Yep.
She'd get so frustrated. She'd go, you know, Dad, your hair's on this side. Your hair's on this side. We got to put it on this side. I'm like, don't touch my hair. I'd like to flip my hair. And she's like,
and they'd spray it. You were
yeah,
so
they'd spray
mad.
it because I didn't understand that yet so much, maybe,
Yeah.
even though I should have.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had such a good group.
It's really amazing the actors that can, you know, market so well the technical aspect, but then forget it and bring in the emotion and know exactly where, you know, we lift up the drink or we point to the other person. I mean, it's a lot you got to remember.
Yep.
And the script supervisor will come up and tell you that beforehand, and you can't let it, you know, trump you. You just got to, like, somehow your brain has to get it all in. You got to say the lines, mean it. You have to, you know, with emotion and yet, if you pick this up at the wrong time, and it's just, I remember learning all that. So, to what you said earlier about like not having energy, I don't know that I'd have the brain power. It was like no props, no blocking. Can we just sit and do this?
Can I sit here and do them in order?
Yeah.
Can we
Because
just
that's
sit
all I
here
can do
and do it?
And part my hair in the center.
And just make it a radio show, the reboot?
I think, unfortunately, that's what you start to do when you've
Yeah.
got a lot of business is try to cut it down to nothing so you don't have
Yeah.
to remember anything.
Yeah.
But then you're just focused on remembering the lines, and then you take the life out of it.
I know.
Remember Victoria Hochberg?
Yes.
A lovely director. Lovely. Loved her. We fought constantly.
Yeah. Why?
Because she wanted you to do specific things her way. She had a really cool camera sense, right? Remember how she used to flip us over so we wouldn't get into 3 close-ups and bring us closer and to kind of naturally escalate cinematically?
Yes.
But not here. You're like, well, I can't remember that and still carry forward with the scene. So I thought she was brilliant. I think she liked me pretty much, although I was a big pain in the butt for her
Sounds
because I'm
like
like,
she may
no,
not
you know,
have.
this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel natural. But I didn't get her vision until I watched a couple of episodes. And then I consciously worked harder to know my stuff more so that next time she came in, I could do her thing better.
Yeah.
But it took a lot more studying. You got to really, really know.
I remember loving her because I had such dramatic stuff up at the beach house when Marcia has my baby. I go in and I'm screaming and she opens the door and there's like that chain there and she's like breastfeeding my baby or something.
Oh, yes.
And it was like, I
gross.
remember it just being Victoria and just I go around and I slam through the thing and I felt freer with her stuff for some reason. Was that with the camera stuff? I don't know. I
think she was
somehow
just
felt
really
freer
impassioned. She was
emotionally.
really passionate.
Oh.
I
She
could
was
get
couldn't
into
beat
the
her.
emotion of it.
Yeah, strong.
Couldn't beat her. Loved
take
her.
on stuff.
Couldn't
Yeah.
beat her.
Yeah, loved
No, but it just took me a while to adjust because I think as a director, I'm like, show me what you guys feel right. What feels right? Let's move it around. Okay. Because I think that's easy to repeat because you're going with your instincts and I'm
Right.
working off of that.
Right.
She didn't. So it just took me a while, but I really appreciated her as a
Every
director.
director was different. Every
yeah.
director was different. I mean, you know, Charlie Correll did a lot of them. There were some that would come in from other shows, and I felt like they were more technical, just kind of like, you
Yeah.
know, doing the traditional over the shoulder. And even though we know our characters, I like a director. I like an emotional direction. At
You
least
lo-
a suggestion,
Yeah.
you know?
I think
I
when
just
we
like
were in our groove by season 2, then the directors were coming in and moving the camera around.
Yeah.
And there was very little like, you should do this, or you should do that, or try this, or try that. I mean, so I don't remember that lot, right? Do you guys?
Later
No.
on, no. I remember people coming
Right?
in.
I think that was something I had to transition into coming from films where directors really love to direct you and let's try it again and try it this way. That's great. We'll print it, but let's try this and let's try that. I really relied on a director to help my performance. And so coming on this and they wouldn't do that, they kind of just chat to you in between and then we're going to move the camera here. You know, it looked beautiful cinematically, but I had to learn to like, okay, I guess I'll just go for it. You know, try this, I'll try that. It's just a weird adjustment to make, but you just make it.
You talked about the comedy part. Like there was a couple seasons, 3 and 4 and 5 maybe, where we got to sort of move into more of that objective. And I think the directors too started to have some fun with that, to see that opportunity. And they were in certain storylines in certain settings, like that office setting, that Mancini Burns. It was like a uniquely creative environment because we'd tapped into something that was like comedy that was kind of a special little pocket on the show. And I was lucky, and I think you were lucky too, to have that, to be one foot in that part, that
And
got
you
to
were
be a little bit more
scripted that way,
creative
too.
Yeah, but that we got to be having a little bit more fun in a different way. It wasn't earnest. We got to sort of explore that comedy part. I thought that was like
Well, they took advantage of having all three of you who can do comedy in one place. Right, they really took advantage of that.
Well, that was super fun.
When I remember back on the show, poorly, as you have pointed out, I thought we were more drama and real and stuff, and there wasn't that much comedy. And then we transitioned, as we said, somewhere between 13 and season 2. Okay, let's just keep it at that. But when I rewatched the pilot, there was a lot of funny stuff in that. I was kind of surprised at how funny it was.
Yeah. There was definitely comedy in the beginning,
Right?
but it was sweet, authentic
It was
comedy.
lighter.
It was like the characters being funny with each other, and later it became this high camp.
That's what I think it was. I think
Yeah.
at Burns Mancini, now it finally occurs to me the name of the office.
Right.
The comedy was in our sincerity in doing all our evil deeds together at the same time.
Yes, you were
Where
over
I
the
was
top.
trying to enlist you to get him, and then
Yeah.
I'd run into my office, and then he would come out and go, "Oh, look, blah, 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 blah."
Yeah.
And then you'd leave, and then you'd be doing a scheme on both of us, and the
We were
comedy
in
lied
cahoots.
in
Yeah.
that kind of.
Yeah, that was great. See, Joe didn't get that. I always got this real stuff, and earnest, but over the top, horrible stuff happening.
Drama.
And
High
picking
drama.
horrible guys that were doing horrible things to me, and I would just be like, and then I'd pick another guy, sort of similar. So I just remember going, everyone's calling this a soap opera, but I find it like very serious, so. One time and we didn't have time to watch a lot of the episodes. I didn't have time to go back and watch them because we were just shooting, and it would air on a Monday or a Wednesday night. Those I think were the 2 nights. But did you watch while we were shooting?
Whenever they came out, or if shortly thereafter.
If you weren't at work.
Especially early on, I watched them sooner. Again, for me, here goes Mr. Anal. It was quality control. I wanted to know if what I was doing was translating on film. And I also was interested in how the editing process was going and what they were using. Because I played scenes a lot of different ways. Normally, that was just the way I like to do it. And I chose that? I thought the other stuff was so much stronger. But I didn't see it on film, so I didn't know.
That's great. I didn't do that at all. I was like... I just didn't do that, but I wish I had. Maybe, I don't know. I remember there are some actors that like watching themselves and some that don't, because, like, after Melrose Place, Video Village became a thing where you could actually watch it there on set.
I know, thank God
Replays.
that doesn't exist now. That and social media is the reason I don't care about working anymore.
Yeah.
I don't have the strength to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Do people actually watch back a scene they just did?
Yeah, you
can.
can.
Oh,
That
yeah.
I would be frozen.
I've had directors
I was
ask.
frozen solid.
Suddenly you're only thinking about what you...
yeah.
you know.
I know, it's
No, that
horrible.
would
But
be
I've
too
had
hard.
directors ask, are you one of the ones that like to watch yourself? Like, you're there, you've just shot it. I'm like, no. To this day, it's too, you don't want to get in your
And your
head
day's
and
going to
start-
take twice as long. It's like,
Well, but also you'd get out of your body and
Yeah.
start acting from the outside in.
Yeah,
That would
if
be
you have
hard.
to
I'm
check it
so
as you
glad we
go,
didn't
like,
have that.
And I don't know if it was always like this, but the shot, the bunch of stuff I've done since Melrose Place, man, there's a ton of people around Video Village. I mean, everybody's down there.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The producer, we had the writer. We never even had the writer on the set.
Right.
Yeah, they were so far.
They were writing the next episodes, Frank and
Yeah.
Darren for a while, and Chuck
Carol and
Pratt
Chuck.
Carol, yeah. They were writing far away
Well, we
from
didn't
us.
even on Melrose Place. There wasn't a monitor, right? They were watching the
No, there was
scene
a
and
monitor.
trusting the DP. There was a monitor.
No, there was a monitor. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there was.
I'm aging
Just the
myself
one.
even more.
Yeah.
Annoyingly, I never used it. I stood right by the camera because I don't know why I thought that was better. Rob Estes, that poor guy. He was like, Calabro, just get out of my face. will you?"
I think you have
Like,
a lot
I feel
of
you, buddy, but I can't.
Well, because I remember them saying, "Did we get it?" Right? And if they were watching the monitor, they'd know. I remember a director saying to the DP, "Did we get it?" Don't you remember that?
Well, maybe check the gate kind of stuff. But you're
Yeah,
right.
check
Yeah,
the
I
gate.
remember that as well, though. But I know there was also a monitor because Chuck was always behind the monitor.
Because we were film. Like, we would have 15-minute breaks. Remember, change the film? We'd have a 15-minute break when they had to change the film.
You were on for 7 years, so I think there might have been a changeover.
An
evolution.
evolution.
Well, HD happened. HD happened in the middle of our run.
Yeah.
Remember that? And makeup changed and everything else?
Christ, I hated HD.
We all hate HD.
Well, we have loved having you here. And as much as we sprayed some stinky perfume or cologne on you, I hope you would be willing to come back again.
Before I leave, where's the bathroom? I need
if
to
we
wash.
promise not to spray you with anything that stinks next time, would you please
That went so fast. You were right. You said it on a sign-in sheet. You set an intention. It's going to be fun. And it was super
And we fun.
And
Will you come back? Will you come back? That's the question.
Oh, God. No, and then we have to live up to this again. We can't do
Yes,
that.
you
No,
can.
Don't have me back
as
anymore.
we get into
Oh, my
probably
God.
when we're in Mancini Burns, that's probably when we'll have you come
I
back.
am not sitting next to him talking. Because he's Jack.
Oh,
Jack.
you and
Yeah.
Jack together?
Oh,
be still
yeah.
my heart.
Jack,
That would be
he's gonna-
hilarious.
We'll separate
We're
you, but
getting
we
ahead of
would
He's
love
gonna
to have you
upstage
We'll
come
have
me
to
back.
separate
every
me
turn.
and Laura
Same.
and you and Jack.
Yes.
So poor Daphne will be the only one allowed in the room. And you'll have to talk to her separately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. We'll spray Jack with perfume.
Well, we've loved having you, Thomas.
Thanks for all the questions, fans. Still the
Yes,
place.
thank you. Those were the
you.
most fun. Thank you.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Yay.
Bye. So long.
Hey everybody, the time has finally come. This week, starting October 7th through October 11th, that's Monday through Friday, everybody, we are revealing the iconic 400. Yes, Bowen Yang and I famously missed our 400th episode here on Las Culturistas, but we are ready to reveal the iconic 400. Who is on the list? Does it matter? No. Will it be fun? Yeah. There might even be a surprise or two in there, so listen carefully. Listen to Las Culturistas on Will Ferrell's Big Money Players Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Daphne Caruana Galizia was a Maltese investigative journalist who on October 16, 2017, was assassinated.
Crooks everywhere unearths the plot to murder a one-woman WikiLeaks. She exposed the culture of crime and corruption that were turning her beloved country into a mafia state.
Listen to Crooks Everywhere on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. To listen to new episodes 1 week early and 100% ad-free, subscribe to the iHeart True Crime Plus channel, available exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
Hey friends, I'm Jessica Capshaw.
And this is Camilla Luddington.
And we have a new podcast, Call It What It Is. You may know us from Graceland Memorial, but did you know that we are actually besties in real life?
And as all besties do, we navigate the highs and lows of life together. Big or small, we're there. And now here we are, opening up the friendship circle to you.
Listen to Call It What It Is on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Renee Stubbs, and I'm obsessed with sports, especially tennis. Tune in to my podcast each week to hear me and my friends in the community break down the latest matches, including the US Open. Plus, hear from some of the biggest names in the sport about what the future holds.
It's about belief, and once you break through that, then you know you can win a Grand Slam.
Listen to the Renee Stubbs Tennis Podcast every Monday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Presented by Capital One, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports.
I'm Joe Gatto.
I'm Steve Byrne.
We are two cool moms.
We certainly are.
And guess where we could find us now?
Oh, I don't know. The iHeart Podcast Network?
That's right. We're an official iHeart podcast, and I'm super excited about it.
I am too. I thought Two Cool Moms was such a fun podcast, but now it's even more funner and cooler and heartier.
That's right. It's more iHeartier.
I knew it. Check your heart rate. We're here at iHeart.
Yeah, you can find us wherever you listen to your podcasts or on the iHeartRadio app.